Right now, we're going to bring on Noi Mahoney for the other biggest news of the weekend. Of course, Borderlands coming out to you on Saturdays, and we've got another major firm choosing Texas as their preferred destination for some big-time investment. Noi, tell us, who is spending now $1.2 billion there?
Yes, a company called Cartcom is relocating back to Houston after 3 years in Austin. Officials for Cartcom cite the Bayou City's talent pool, infrastructure, and mix of customers as reasons for returning. Cart.com was actually founded in Houston in 2020. The company is an e-commerce as a service platform. They currently have about 6,000 brands that they provide services to. As you mentioned, in June, Cart.com reached a valuation of $1.2 billion after a $60 million Series C funding round. The company said they're going to use those funds to expand its services and global reach. And one of the interesting things that the officials for the company told me was, they initially moved to Austin, or the reason they moved to Austin was to expand its tech talent. And now they feel they're at a point where they have the tech talent they need, and they want to move back to Houston to expand other parts of their operations, such as logistics, human resources, procurement, stuff like that. So it's a sort of interesting situation what they're doing.
And Noi, you just mentioned, of course, going to Austin for the tech talent. It seems like about 20% of the U.S. moved to Austin throughout the pandemic. Now going to Houston, you mentioned some of the advantages there from a logistics standpoint. What are going to be some of the other things? We're looking at the Houston infrastructure. Is there a plan laid out? And what are going to be focusing on? I can only imagine e-commerce being a big one.
Yeah, e-commerce is sort of what they founded the company on, and they cited, the Port of Houston, the logistics operations, all the imports that come into that port. They also cited, interestingly, Houston's airport system. Houston has two, international airports, and they said that helps them, their employees and company officials, travel more easily. It's interesting. Austin has one airport, but that airport is always packed and always has traffic, or at least that's my experience of it whenever I try to travel through Austin's airport. So maybe travel will be somewhat easier moving through Houston. And they also mentioned all of the sort of 3PLs, the distribution centers, logistics warehouses that are popping up in the Houston area as another chance for them to expand their customer base. So it seems like a perfect storm for the city of Houston.
I think that it's interesting to see kind of this momentum shift from locations specifically in Texas. As we know, of course, a ton of people moved to Austin because of that tech component, but it was also really, really great for logistics. It's right there on that I-35 corridor. It's that direct connection between Houston, Dallas, and Austin itself, and then it also connects you down towards San Antonio, Laredo. It's kind of that middle ground, but the negatives of that is that it's very expensive. It's expensive to live. Commercial real estate's very expensive, and it's very difficult to kind of build out a large place to work unless you're Tesla with its gigafactory there. Do you think that this could potentially be a momentum swing away from Austin and show kind of companies that there is an opportunity outside of just that one specific major Texas capital?
Yeah, I think we could see some of that, or we are seeing some of that. Houston, while it has its own problems with traffic and zoning and stuff, it is much more spread out. Real estate is a little more reasonably priced than compared to Austin. Dallas as well. Dallas is, as you know, is a major freight hub, logistics city, and Dallas will always, continue to attract, major companies. And Austin's issues, as some of you mentioned, it's gotten very expensive just for an average person to rent an apartment. I think the average rent is somewhere, $1,500 to $1,600 just for a one bedroom. The traffic in Austin is terrible because, as you mentioned, there's only really one major corridor that goes through the I-35, which is always, in gridlock, it seems like in Austin. So, but Austin, is such a popular city. People want to move there still. I have a hard time believing that it will, completely lose its, attractiveness to companies and even people. I think it'll always be a sort of place that tech people want to go to. But I do see, as you mentioned, other cities, Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, even Laredo, and some places in the valley attracting more, trade opportunities.
And of course, cross-border has to be a big part of a lot of the activity that we're seeing right now in that area. Keeping on that cross-border topic here, can you tell us about the Mercury Gate acquisition and what it does for them?
Yeah, that's an interesting acquisition. Mercury Gate is a major provider of 3PL services and software, and they acquired a company called International Trade Systems, ITS, which is a customs compliance software provider. So Mercury Gate is obviously trying to expand their cross-border capabilities, and as we continue to see more and more cross-border trade between Canada, Mexico, the United States, and even other countries in the Americas, it's just sort of another service that Mercury Gate can provide to its customers.
Interesting acquisition indeed, and keeping on your other stories in borderlands. New Mexico also getting some love as some companies relocate to Santa Teresa.
That's right. Some really positive news out of New Mexico. The Economic Development Corporation for the state announced two companies, Coast Aluminum Incorporated and Monty Incorporated, are bringing manufacturing logistics hubs to the city of Santa Teresa. Coast Aluminum provides metals and recycled metals to customers. They're building I believe it's a 10 million facility in Santa Teresa, where they're going to be, importing and exporting metals from Mexico to their other facilities across the U.S. And Monty Incorporated is an electrical component provider. They're building a $14 million facility in Santa Teresa, which will also act as a distribution hub for their services across the country. So really good news out of New Mexico.
Definitely something that I'm going to be excited for in Noi, and it says here that it's going to be looking to open around the first quarter of 2024. Real quick before we let you go, what are going to be some of the amazing benefits of investing in New Mexico?
Well, obviously, real estate there is still reasonably priced compared to, other logistics hubs, such as we mentioned, Houston, Dallas, Austin especially. There also is a lot of available land. I shouldn't say a lot, but there is more available land in southern New Mexico than probably other border regions, such as Texas or maybe Arizona or California. And I believe that there's a really emerging, growing workforce in New Mexico that companies can really tap into, that are ready to work, and the state is ready to go.
It's going to be interesting to watch, and we love to see our home states getting some love. Noi, thank you for joining us this morning. Great to talk to you as always.
Thank you.